Christmas was supposed to be magic this year. After 3 years overseas, 3 Christmases spent under foreign skies in dusty tents, eating freeze-dried meals, I was finally coming home. I imagined the snow crunching beneath my boots, the warmth of my childhood home, and most of all, the hug from the one person I kept picturing in every desert dream, my mom. She always made Christmas feel like a movie. Twinkling lights, cinnamon-scented halls, that old Nat King Cole vinyl she refused to replace with Spotify. That's what I was coming home to. Or at least I thought I was. I landed at JFK 2 nights before Christmas Eve. Still in uniform. Still smelling like Army-issued detergent. I turned on my phone. A single notification waited. One message from my mom. It read, "Christmas is better without you. Don't come." That was it. No hello. No explanation. My hand went numb. My feet were still moving, following the crowd through baggage claim, but my brain had stopped. I stared at the screen for what felt like forever. And then I typed back a single word. Fine. No argument. No questions. No begging. Just fine. Because after years of pushing, years of being the daughter she could never mold, maybe I was finally too broken for her brand of Christmas. But what she didn't know was that in the next 48 hours, I would give her a Christmas she'd never forget. A different kind of magic. One that starts not with love, but with revenge. My mom wasn't evil. Not at first. She was just cold. Precise. The kind of woman who ironed her napkins and arranged the bookshelf by color, not genre. Growing up, everything had to be perfect. My smile in pictures. My posture at the dinner table. My friends. My future. And when I started showing signs of being my own person, messy, loud, adventurous, she started pulling away. I remember once, in 10th grade, I came home with a scraped knee from climbing the neighbor's fence. She didn't ask if I was okay. She just said, "What will the neighbors think if they see you like that?" That's who she was. After my dad passed when I was 17, it only got worse. He was the buffer, the soft voice in the storm. Without him, her need for control tightened like a noose. When I told her I was joining the army, she looked at me like I said I was joining a biker gang. You'll ruin your body. You'll ruin your chances at a real career. No one decent marries a soldier. That was her goodbye speech. No hugs. No tears. Just judgment. And yet, every year I sent her gifts. Postcards. Emails. I even FaceTimed her from Kuwait, once on her birthday. She answered, looked annoyed, said she was busy preparing for guests, and hung up. Still, I held on to this fantasy of her waiting at the window, tears in her eyes, arms open. But that text, "Christmas is better without you," that killed the last piece of hope I had. And something else took its place. Something stronger. Clarity. I didn't lose my mother that day. I lost her years ago. I just finally admitted it. I knew I shouldn't have gone. After that message, every ounce of pride I had told me to turn back, book a hotel, disappear. But a part of me, that stubborn, aching part, needed to see it for myself. I rented a car, a cheap, dented sedan that rattled every time I hit a pothole. I drove through the neighborhood where I grew up, same reeds, same lights, same plastic reindeer on the Cooper's lawn that blinked out of sync. Nothing had changed, except me. I pulled up to the house around 6 p.m. The porch light was off. No wreath. No tree glowing through the front window. It looked dead. I got out slowly, boots crunching on frostbitten grass. My heart beat louder than my footsteps. I rang the doorbell. No answer. I knocked. Waited. Knocked again. I could hear the TV on inside. She was home. I texted. "I'm outside. I just want to drop off your gift." The text was delivered. Read. No reply. I stood there for a full 2 minutes, staring at the door I once ran through with scraped knees and report cards in hand. Then I turned back, got in the car, and parked across the street. I stared at the house for hours. No one came out. No lights turned on. I fell asleep in the front seat, curled up in my uniform jacket, the Christmas present I'd bought her still sitting on the passenger seat, wrapped in red paper, tied with gold ribbon. That night, for the first time in years, I truly accepted that I had no home. I woke up the next morning to the sound of my phone buzzing. It was 9 a.m. I had barely slept. The ache in my chest felt like it might swallow me whole, but I forced myself to sit up. I reached for my phone, the glow of the screen still bright in the morning light. One notification. I opened it. A picture from my mother. The Christmas party. The one I was told not to come to. There she was, smiling, perfectly made up, standing next to Karen, the woman who had taken my place in her heart years ago. My stepmother's face beamed like she had just won some prize. My mom's arm draped around her. They were laughing. And in the background, my little brother. The little boy I used to protect, the one who cried when I left for boot camp. Now he was standing there laughing too. Everyone was there. All of them. The neighbors. The family friends. The same people who had watched me grow up, and now they were all smiling with my mother. No trace of me. No acknowledgement of my absence. I scanned the photo, feeling my heart twist in my chest. And then I saw the caption, "A family Christmas as it should be." I read it again, "As it should be." The words burned into my mind. My mom had erased me, not just from this photo, but from her life. And somehow, someway I knew, this Christmas, I would make her remember me. And I wouldn't leave until she did. That photo, it was the last straw. Something in me broke that morning, and something else took its place. I had spent years trying to fit into her version of me. I had always been the one who apologized, who caved, who hoped and hoped for the love I never got. But not anymore. I wasn't the daughter she could control. I wasn't the child she could mold into her image. I wasn't going to sit in a corner and beg for scraps of affection. She wanted a perfect Christmas? Fine. But if she thought she could erase me from her life without any consequences, she was wrong. It took less than 24 hours to put my plan into motion. I may have been an army soldier, but I was also a daughter who knew the cracks in her mother's perfect world. First, I started with the social media. I scrolled through her posts, her perfectly manicured family Christmas photos, her endless updates about her charity work, her volunteer efforts, the good life she'd sold to everyone. But behind those filters, there were cracks. Her financials were a mess. I knew that from the family accounts I had access to as a kid. She had been funneling money from her charity into personal accounts for years. There was the affair with the pastor, which, thanks to my father's old journal, I knew was very real. I spent hours digging, confirming. The evidence was all there, scattered across old documents, online receipts, and my memories. And then I took the first step, an anonymous tip to the charity's largest donor, accusing her of misusing funds, a message to the local church, warning them about her inappropriate relationship with the pastor, a post on Reddit, a call out to all the women who had been manipulated by her perfect family image and never spoken out. I was still shaking when I hit send, but something felt right. This wasn't just about Christmas. This was about making her face the truth, about making her reckon with the woman I had always been, the one she tried to destroy with her lies, control, and neglect. And I knew in that moment that I wasn't going to stop until she saw the consequences of her actions. It didn't take long for things to spiral. The first message I received came late that night. It was from a woman named Susan, a longtime donor to my mother's charity. "Emily, I don't know what's going on, but we've received a report accusing your mother of mishandling funds. Please tell me this isn't true." My fingers hovered over the keyboard. Part of me wanted to backpedal, apologize, say it was all a mistake. But I didn't. Instead, I calmly replied, "It's true. You'll want to look deeper into her finances." The next day, the church sent an email thanking me for bringing the allegations to light. They'd removed her from any future events. By the weekend, her perfect world was starting to crack. I kept checking the news. Posts on Reddit were flooding in. Stories from women who had been manipulated, mistreated, even blacklisted by my mother's perfect little world. People started connecting the dots. And just like that, the first domino fell. A local news station picked up the story about her charity's shady dealings. The pastor was suspended from the church for misconduct. My mother, she had no idea. All the while, I watched from a distance, feeling the smallest hint of satisfaction. For once, I wasn't the one being ignored, erased, or overlooked. But I wasn't done. Not by a long shot. I had to make sure she knew who was behind it all, who was behind her downfall. And that's when I made my next move. A final post on Reddit. A tell-all exposing everything. Her affair, the stolen money, the lies, the fake persona. I didn't reveal my name. I didn't need to. The truth would be enough. I sat back, waiting for the chaos to unfold. The call came in the middle of the night. My phone buzzed on the nightstand, vibrating like a warning. I didn't need to look at the caller ID. I already knew who it was. It was her. I hesitated for a moment. A part of me wanted to let it ring out, to leave her hanging, waiting for a reply that would never come. But I didn't. I picked up. Emily. Her voice was tight, strained, like she was holding back tears, though I knew better than to believe any of that. What have you done? I waited, letting the silence stretch, letting her feel the weight of her own actions. What have I done? I repeated slowly, my voice colder than I intended. You destroyed everything. My charity, my reputation. You've torn apart our family. I could almost picture her on the other end, face flushed, jaw clenched, fighting for control. You did that, not me, I said quietly. She was silent for a moment. Then came the words I'd been expecting. You're selfish. I gave you everything, and this is how you repay me? You're nothing but a disappointment. The words stung, but they didn't have the power they once did. I didn't need her approval. I didn't need her love. I wasn't the little girl waiting for her praise anymore. Merry Christmas, Mom, I said almost casually. I could hear her gasp, the realization that I wasn't going to beg, that I wasn't going to make it easy for her to guilt-trip me anymore. I took a deep breath. And next year, I might send you a Christmas card with a court summons inside. I hung up before she could respond. And in that moment, I felt something I hadn't felt in years, free. Free from her lies. Free from the weight of her expectations. Free from the chains of a family that never really cared about me. For the first time, I wasn't a disappointment. I was a woman who had finally taken control of her life. I wasn't waiting anymore. I was moving forward. And this time, I was doing it on my own terms. It's been 6 months since that call. My mother never tried to contact me again. Her charity was audited. Her social circle, the one she'd spent decades curating, turned its back on her. The woman who once stood above everyone else with her perfect posture and perfect lies was finally exposed. But I didn't celebrate. I didn't dance on the ruins. Because somewhere along the way, it stopped being about revenge. It became about reclaiming me. I moved back to a small town outside Denver, quiet, clean, with mountains that reminded me of who I used to be. I started volunteering with vets, teaching young girls self-defense. I even adopted a dog, Charlie, a mutt with crooked teeth and eyes too big for his head. On my first real Christmas in this new chapter, I cooked dinner for 6 people, none of them family by blood, but every single one of them chose to be there. We laughed. We shared stories. We even wore those ridiculous matching sweaters. And as I looked around that table, I realized something. Family isn't who raised you. It's not who you share DNA with. It's who shows up. It's who sees you, really sees you, and stays. I used to think revenge would make me feel whole, but it didn't. Walking away did. Telling my truth did. Building something real with people who loved me as I am did. So no, I won't be sending her that Christmas card. Some ghosts are better left behind. Because I didn't lose my family. I finally found it. Family isn't who you're born to. It's who shows up. You owe nothing to people who treat you like you don't matter. Not even if they're your parents. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is walk away. Not in anger. Not in fear. But in peace. Because healing isn't about going back to the people who broke you. It's about becoming someone they can no longer hurt.